Hello and welcome back, my beautiful, horrible blobbies. I have to be honest with you, the more I call you guys my beautiful, horrible blobbies, the more unnatural it sounds. I'm kind of not liking it. I'm not liking it anymore. I kind of feel the need that we need to change it to something else. Feedback and suggestions are welcome in the comments. I hope you guys are doing very well. Since my last video, we've had quite a few new people join us. Welcome and thank you so much for subscribing. I hope you enjoy your time here. I've also been doing a few live streams. So I'm gonna tell you right now that this week's review is probably not going to be a long one. There's not a whole lot that I have to say about this movie. However, I still want to bring this movie to your attention because I think it can be it's bad, but it can be entertaining. And so I still want to present this movie to you and kind of get more people to know about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. The only reason I decided to, actually there's two reasons why I decided to watch this movie. The first one is because the doll looks gross. The doll does look gross, and I think the film, shut up. I'm gonna get into that. But the second reason is because I decided to watch the trailer and our fucking girl, Danielle Scott, is in it. So obviously, Danielle Scott's in it. I have to fucking watch this movie. This one I found again by going down like a little bit of a Tubi rabbit hole. I just kind of kept searching again like last week until I found something that sounded interesting. I landed upon this one and watched it, and again, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but I do still have things to say, and I do still want to I still want to highlight this movie. I think it's still gonna be worth it. So without further ado, let's literally just go ahead and get right into it. Now, if you are new here, first of all, hi, my name is Starguts. I have cats, so if you hear any crashing or breaking or running behind me or around me, that's what that is. Second, if you are new here, my reviews kind of tend to be a discussion on what I think are the more prominent parts of the movie. And so for that, I try not to go too into detail and I try not to spoil too much. However, there's going to be one main big spoiler, which is going to be a main discussion because it low-key infuriates me. Not infuriate, I wouldn't say infuriate, because I have watched movies on this channel so far that have infuriated me. This does not infuriate me. I'm just disappointed. So if you want to watch this movie before the rest of this review, you can do so for free on Tubi TV. I'm not sponsored. I'm trying to get that sponsorship though. I'll put a link to it in the description to make it that much easier for you to see this movie for free. And let's get right fucking into it. After her parents separate, a young girl named Crystal moves in with her now lesbian mother and her new girlfriend, who is also a homewrecker in this situation, by the way, and it is Danielle Scott. When arriving to the new home, the mother, Chia, finds an old, pretty disgusting doll that's torn to shreds. However, Crystal becomes attached to it and wants to keep it as a friend in this difficult transition period. The doll gets repaired, and this is the part where I should be telling you that things start to go awry, but really all this fucking doll does is just trip people. And people do die, but I think I have two or three main things that I want to focus on with this review. And again, this one's probably not going to be a long one because what I'm going to discuss first is probably my biggest point. Please, dear God, don't let it come across the wrong way. It has to do with the lesbian mother narrative. Listen to me. The problem is not because there is a lesbian mother. The problem is the movie is more of that than it is any piece of horror that's actually going on. And then it also doesn't do anything with it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't go anywhere. And there are a few times where the narrative reminds me of Blood and Honey in the sense that things are shoved into it and it ends up not mattering and not going anywhere and everyone dies and nothing's resolved. I'm all for more progressive storytelling, but with this movie, it's like the mother's lesbianism. The only reason it's there is to create conflict between characters, and it takes up a lot of the dialogue, and sometimes it's put into exchanges where I don't really know if it fits. Like towards the end of the movie, one of the gay guys who is friends with the mom, Chia, he goes to like talk to Crystal after his partner has just disappeared. He died, but he disappeared. For some reason, the conversation that this gay guy wants to have with Crystal, gay guy, what's his name? I can't remember what his name was. I watched it 4 fucking times. Part of the problem is also that I've been calling him to myself an off-brand Dan Howell, because that's exactly who he looks like. Dan is not on fire, is just having this random conversation with Crystal about, hey, you know, I know your mom likes the same sex now, but she's still your mom. And it's like, it's completely out of place within the context of everything else that just happened.
The thing is, your mum, she's still the same person. And I know that you might feel like she's changed because she's with someone else. Someone who's, well, not your dad. But she's still the same person she's always been.
And also, it's like our 20th time hearing this conversation. The same conversation about Chia's sexuality is just repeated throughout the entire movie. It's like 20 times. Every time they talk to each other, it's the same conversation. It's extremely repetitive, only for it to not matter and not go anywhere, because everyone dies and nothing about it gets resolved. It's not some kind of issue that the mother and Crystal have to overcome together, or that Crystal finally starts to understand her mother, or something like that. It takes up so much of the focus just to not go anywhere, and the only purpose that it serves is for every character to hate each other. And like, it's not even like it would have been difficult for them to show Chia and Crystal overcoming this transition together and like joining forces at the end. Like, it would not have been hard to do. It wouldn't have been hard to do. And they didn't do it. And I'm just gonna throw out there that all of the conversation about Chia's sexuality just feels awkward and shallow. Maybe it speaks to someone, and if it does, very good. I don't know, just all of the exchanges in this feel awkward and unnatural. I feel like maybe you have to watch it to know exactly what I mean. I don't know if I'm making myself come across very clearly or not. It's really aggravating. And do you want to know why it's aggravating? Because I'm gonna tell you, this is a spoiler alert. Honestly, can I tell you how much of a spoiler is it gonna be really? Because this is something that gets swept under the rug so quickly, so swiftly, with so much ease, as if it never showed up at all. That, like, can I really call it a spoiler? I don't know, but I'm gonna talk about it. The very little bit of lore that we get about this doll and how swiftly it is swept under the rug. Okay, so majority of the movie is focused on this conflict between Crystal and Chia now being a lesbian and having her home-wrecking girlfriend live with her daughter, which is very awkward. It's very dramatic. And it has the classic soap opera moments that sometimes these B horror movies I've found have been having.
Anyway, let's go check on Crystal, make sure she's all right. Let's do it. Oh. Sweetie, are you okay?
I want to go to my room.
So if that's the main focus, and this is a horror movie, I'm just gonna come out and say it. In the last 10 minutes, we get the only lore that we ever will receive about this doll. First of all, her name is Emily. Don't get that until the last 10 minutes. And then we have to read an article that Chia is looking at about how a man used to live at this house and he turned his daughter into a doll. But you have to be reading the online article that Chia is looking at to get that revealed to you. The realtor comes by and begins to tell Chia about it.
There was this young girl that used to live in the house, and if you believe the rumours, her father... Sorry, that's my reminder.
But then she has to leave and she doesn't do the full lore drop. Then we immediately cut to the news article and Chia reading it and being shocked. And then, I shit you not, the rest of the fucking movie is like Chia never read that article. She acts like she's never seen that fucking article a day in her life. And that she could not, like, connect two and two. That there's a weird, freaky ass doll in their house. And there's an article about a family that used to live there and the dad turned the daughter into a doll. Because at the end of the film, Chia is still acting like Crystal is a psychomaniac and that the doll, there's nothing wrong with the doll. Still, she's read this article. The only way we get the information is if we also read it before it fucking turns away. So you're telling me that they have decided within the last 10 minutes and only within something that you have to be reading on the screen for X amount of seconds. That's the horror of the doll, and instead of doing any kind of focus on that, we get to sit here and sit through the same fucking 20 conversations. Oh my god, this is a horror movie. And like, people have been able to do queer horror really well and like make these and create like symbolic metaphorical references between queerness and horror, and it comes out stellar. And this isn't one of those movies that do it though. You have lore about a doll that we find out from reading an article within the last 10 minutes is made of a dead child. We don't even know why, by the way. We're never told why the father did it. We just know that some dad made his daughter into a doll. We don't even know how she died. I think it was like, it might have said accident. And then we don't even know why does the doll come to life and want to kill people. If it's like a child, if it's a daughter, why is she coming to life killing people? Also, why is Chia not fucking making the connection? This stupid fucking doll. But no, she read that article and instead of thinking like, we have a weird looking doll. I wonder if this is the dead kid that I just read in this article. Nah, my daughter's just a psychopath and is trying to kill me for being gay.
You stay away from me, you don't come near me!
Mum, what's happening?
Crystal, don't lie to me. I knew you were upset. But you killed him. How could you?
Never mind the freaky ass doll that we found. Never mind it. Crystal, you're literally fucking insane for thinking that this doll is coming to life and killing people. But I did like the twist at the end of like, oh, the doll basically framed Crystal for all these murders. I thought that was cool. If they had embellished more on the doll's lore, that could have been cool. Overall though, if I had to criticize or talk about like the story or writing in general, I don't know. It was fine. Everything about it is extremely basic. The kills are basic. It's basic, it's normal, it's fine, it's whatever. There's nothing like great or unique or good about it, but there's also nothing that's offensively bad. This is a movie that I feel like I could watch again, mostly in a group of friends. I would watch this movie again if I had some friends over or something. Which brings me to the main reason anyone should be watching this movie, which is just the doll itself. I hate how pushed under the rug the lore for the doll is, because it could be pretty cool. And let me tell you that I think the doll is gross. The doll is fucking gross and disgusting, and I hate having to look at it. When I very first watched this movie, I was having visceral reactions to having to look at this doll. Anytime this doll was on screen, I was just like, fuck, man. I can't fucking look at this thing. I'm gonna throw the fuck up. I mean, like, there's nothing spectacular about its design, but it just looks disgusting. Everything about this fucking doll is so gnarly. The way that it sits, the way that it lays, the way that it moves its fucking head, its stupid fucking eyes, which, by the way, we gotta talk about that a little bit, because there are some instances where the eyes look fucking weird and scary, and there are other instances where they just look goofy as fuck and completely kill how gross it looks. When I very first watched it, especially, there was a moment where the doll is like laying on the bed and Crystal is talking to it, and I was trying to pause it just to talk about how disgusting the doll's lumpy ass weird body looked, only to pause it on the most disgusting up close facial shot of this thing. And the first time I watched it, I was kind of more away from the TV, and so the way that the shadows were making the eyes look, it looked very different from how it is when you see it a little bit closer on a computer screen. So I feel like that had something to do with my reaction to seeing this fucking thing. But nevertheless, it's fucking disgusting. I hate looking at this creature. I usually don't give a shit about dolls. I mean, like, I love dolls, but I mean, in a horror movie, it's really rare for a doll to actually freak me out or for me to find it scary. And somehow this doll, it just absolutely disturbed me and disgusted me. And like, you always see it walking around, but it ain't got no fucking feet. It got stubs. She got some fucking stubs. And it would have been so perfect and over the top if we had gotten some kind of like uncanny, shitty shot of this doll walking on its stubs, but it always just covers its feet when it walks, and it fucking sucks. I want to see it move around on the stubs. I was hoping and praying the entire time that towards the end of this, I would get to see this someone rock the shit out of this doll. Like, I wanted to see it get slung around and fucking beat the fuck up. I wanted violence to happen to this doll so bad, and it never happened, and it pisses me off. I want violence towards the doll, please. All in all, the doll is solely the only reason to see this fucking movie. In case I didn't mention it yet, sometimes the eyes are good and freaky, and I think it's just when they have the black coverings on the eyes. But anytime that you can see the actor's eyes behind the obvious mask of the doll, it just looks goofy. It looks so goofy and unserious, and it loses all of its grossness. Especially because most of the time the actor's eyes are just like kind of boredly looking around. They aren't in the zone at all. They make direct eye contact with the camera and will even just kind of boredly look off to the side. Like, now on the title of this, I have called this movie accidentally disturbing, or I might have. If I haven't, well, I'm a fucking liar, I guess. And I think that is a good way to define it. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie that's very like, what the fuck? But it's not scary. It's just like weird and a little bit uneasy. And I would call it disturbing. I was low-key disturbed watching this movie. Any scene with the doll, or Crystal in the doll especially.
I like your hair. I wish I could make mine like that. Then we could be twins. But Mum wouldn't let me. She just does everything she wants. Doesn't think about me. You'd let me, wouldn't you?
It's just weird. The doll and Crystal have a really weird relationship, and
You can share my bed.
there's a moment when we watch the doll crawl into bed with Crystal, and that part makes me sick. I don't like seeing it. But it just has like little moments that feel accidentally disturbing as fuck. And I want to clarify, I don't mean disturbing as in like, oh, the shockumentary, like gross out, edgy kind of disturbing, but disturbing in the sense of like, ooh, something's just like not right. It's just uneasy. I felt disturbed having to watch this freak of nature doll. And I don't know if it was really intentional. If it was, bravo, but it feels accidental. Again, like I said, this is probably going to be my shortest review that I've done yet. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I've said what I've said. I watched this solely for Danielle Scott. I will say, so far, it's not my favorite Danielle Scott movie so far. Not because she did a bad performance or anything. It's just, like, it's not my favorite one that I've seen her in so far. I'm just kind of, like, looking at a few other just, like, off notes that I have about this. There is, early on, a foreshadowing aspect about what the doll is made out of.
What are you made out of?
And I didn't expect that to be, like, a foreshadowing tell. But it ended up being, like, a kind of cool one because you don't expect that to be foreshadowing. I told you, this one wasn't going to be a long one. I don't have a whole lot to say. However, I do think that if you, like, want to see something kind of laughable and weird with a group of friends, this movie is worth checking out for that kind of environment. I would absolutely sit down and show a group of friends this movie, and we would all talk and laugh throughout it and make fun of some of the weird, gross moments in it. Gross as in just the doll existing. And so, because of that, I give this movie a solid C tier. I'm giving this movie a C tier. If the doll was not gross and weird and borderline disturbing, especially the relationship between Crystal and the doll, if that were not a part of it, this would be a solid D. Because it makes me feel a certain kind of way, I have bumped it up to a C, which is just meh. It's like mediocre. The doll really pulls majority of the weight in this movie. The only reason to watch it is for the doll and maybe to just see Danielle Scott's beautiful, shining, golden face. With that, we are done with another movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you decide to go watch it because even though I did give it C tier, I think it's worth the watch just for fun. You know, just for fun. It's really low stakes. I think it was only an hour and 15 minutes long. So just go watch it. Jump on Discord with your buddies if you guys don't live together. Fucking watch this movie, make fun of it. Look at how gross the stupid ass doll is. I want to beat it into the ground. I don't know what kind of emoji we can use for this one. If you made it all the way to the end, put a gay flag emoji in the comments. And if you end up watching this movie, tell me what you think about it in the comments as well. If you liked this review, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out a whole lot and I really, really appreciate it. If you dislike the video, go ahead and give it a dislike. But just know every time you do that, I'm going to assume it's because you like blood and honey and were offended by my blood and honey review. And if you liked this video so much that you actually want to hear me ramble more about B horror movies, because that seems to be my niche right now, it seems to be what I enjoy the most, consider hitting subscribe and hitting that bell notification to be updated every time I have a new upload. Again, thank you so much for being here and making it all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate your time. It means a whole lot. And thank you everyone who has subscribed and liked and just supported the channel so far. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. I will continue to see you guys in live streams, but if live streaming is not your thing, then I will see you in the next review. Have a good night and be safe out there.
Then you and Monica can go away forever. You can make another family and break that one too. That's all you want to do, make everyone's lives worse. You're both horrible, evil witches